Hello everyone, welcome back to Faik Official. If you love diving deep into untold stories, forgotten histories, and the most fascinating mysteries of our world, then you are in the exact right place.
Imagine a place where the clocks stopped ticking decades ago. Picture a sprawling, sun-drenched town in the heart of the American West. Where the only sound you hear is the whistle of the wind howling through broken window panes. Once, these streets were bustling with life. Miners chasing golden dreams, families building homes, and children playing under the vast open skies. But today, silence. These are the ghost towns of America, skeletons of a bygone era abandoned to the mercy of time and nature. Why do these places continue to captivate us? Perhaps it's because, in their decay, we see the fragility of our own ambitions. Today, we embark on a journey deep into the shadows of history to uncover why thousands of flourishing settlements suddenly vanished, leaving behind nothing but whispers in the dust. The story of a ghost town is rarely a simple one. It is a complex narrative written in rusted iron, rotting wood, and the remnants of personal lives left behind in a hurry. When the gold ran dry, or when the rivers changed their course, these towns didn't just fade away. They were surrendered. Imagine the final days, the sound of wagons pulling away, the slamming of front doors that would never open again, and the bittersweet realization that an entire community was coming to an end. Who were these people? What were their dreams, their heartaches, and their secrets? We aren't just looking at empty structures. We are walking through the footprints of those who dared to stake a claim in a landscape that ultimately fought back. Each building here acts as a silent witness to a time when hope was high and survival was the only currency. Our journey today is not for the faint of heart. We are traveling through the remnants of a vanished American landscape. Exploring locations that most people have forgotten, or were perhaps too afraid to revisit. From the subterranean fires burning beneath the earth in Pennsylvania, to the desolate, scorching sands of the Nevada frontier, we are going to peel back the layers of these forgotten worlds. You will see what remains when civilization packs its bags and leaves. Are you ready to confront the silence? Are you prepared to step into the lanes where the past still lingers, waiting to be rediscovered? Grab your gear, keep your eyes open, and let us venture into the heart of the emptiness, where the shadows tell the most powerful stories of all. The mid-19th century was defined by a singular, all-consuming obsession: gold. When news broke that gold had been discovered in the Sierra Nevada foothills, it triggered the largest mass migration in American history. People from every corner of the globe packed their belongings, leaving behind stable lives, careers, and security to face the unknown. They didn't come for comfort, they came for a miracle. In Act 2, we zoom in on the birth of these boomtowns. Imagine the scene. Thousands of tents popping up overnight. Makeshift saloons constructed from pine logs, and the desperate, frantic energy of thousands of men digging through riverbeds. Convinced that the next shovel full of dirt would make them millionaires. It was the American dream, in its most primal, unfiltered form. A high-stakes gamble where life was cheap and potential wealth was infinite. These towns grew with a terrifying speed. 1 week, there would be nothing but a quiet mountain stream. The next week, there would be a bustling town of 5,000 people. But this rapid expansion brought its own set of dangers. Lawlessness ruled the day. In these gold-drenched settlements, the only law was the one you carried in your holster. Casinos, brothels, and general stores flourished as they siphoned off the meager earnings of exhausted miners. Picture the chaotic beauty of these streets. Horses tethered to hitching posts, clouds of dust kicked up by wagons, and the constant rhythmic sound of miners' picks hitting bedrock. But beneath the surface-level excitement, there was an underlying tension. Every man was a competitor. Every claim was a battlefield. It was a lifestyle sustained by adrenaline, and it was a lifestyle that could not last. The flaw in these towns was fundamental. Their existence was entirely dependent on a finite resource. Once the gold veins began to pinch out, the foundation of the town would start to crumble. You can almost feel the collective anxiety that must have hung in the air during those final months. When the yields dropped, the merchants left, the saloon doors were locked for the last time, and the people, those who hadn't already lost everything, started looking toward the horizon for the next big strike. As we explore the ruins today, we aren't just seeing piles of old lumber. We are seeing the remnants of a failed economy. We are seeing what happens when an entire community is built on a promise that nature never intended to keep. The silence that fills these valleys now is the final answer to the question of what happens when the gold runs out. Not all ghost towns were born from the sudden depletion of gold. Some were destroyed by human error. Swallowed from the inside out by forces of nature that we unleashed and could never control. In Act 3, we travel to the coal-rich mountains of Pennsylvania, to a town called Centralia. In the mid-20th century, Centralia was a tight-knit, thriving community with bustling businesses, schools, churches, and over 1,000 residents who thought they had found their permanent home. But beneath their feet, a nightmare was quietly waking up. It began in May of 1962, a seemingly ordinary municipal cleanup project that went catastrophically wrong. A trash fire was lit in an abandoned strip mine pit, but no one realized that the pit connected directly to a massive, forgotten labyrinth of underground coal veins. The fire found its fuel, slipped beneath the earth, and refused to go out. Imagine living in a house where the ground beneath your basement is literally burning at hundreds of degrees. For years, the residents of Centralia ignored the strange smells of sulfur and the faint plumes of white smoke rising from cracks in the earth, assuming it was just a local nuisance. But by the late 1970s and 1980s, the horror could no longer be denied. Gas stations measured gasoline temperatures in their underground tanks reaching near boiling points. Trees died instantly as their roots cooked in the soil. And then came the ultimate warning sign. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski was nearly swallowed alive when a sudden sinkhole opened beneath his feet in his grandmother's backyard, measuring 4 feet wide and over 150 feet deep. He survived only because he managed to cling to a tree root while toxic carbon monoxide billowed from the abyss. The federal government stepped in, buying out most of the properties, tearing down the homes, and forcing the remaining residents to scatter across the country. Zip codes were revoked, and the state of Pennsylvania condemned the entire municipality. Today, Centralia is a surreal wasteland. You can drive down cracked, buckled highways where the asphalt is warped by subterranean heat, and see barren fields where dense white smoke still vents endlessly from the cracks in the earth, like breath from a sleeping monster. It is a ghost town created not by a lack of money, but by an unquenchable, eternal fire burning deep in the dark. As we stand amidst the ruins of Centralia, we are reminded of how fragile our civilization is when the Earth decides to fight back. Before highways carved through the mountains and airplanes crossed the skies, America was bound together by a single, powerful thread. Iron tracks. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Transcontinental Railroad was the beating heart of the nation. Entire towns were deliberately engineered and built from scratch simply to service the massive steam locomotives. In Act 4, we travel to the desolate stretches of the American Southwest, where iron hubs once ruled the desert. Picture the roaring sound of a steam engine cutting through the absolute silence of the horizon, billowing thick black smoke into the pristine blue sky. These railway outposts were vital lifelines, places where locomotives refueled on water and coal, and where weary passengers stepped off to find a momentary oasis in a sea of sand and stone. For a brief, shining moment, these railroad towns thrived. Railway workers, telegraph operators, mechanics, and merchants lived side by side in neat rows of wooden company houses. But progress is a ruthless master. By the mid-20th century, the landscape of transportation underwent a violent shift. Steam engines were phased out in favor of clean, efficient diesel locomotives, which could travel vast distances without needing frequent stops at remote watering holes. Furthermore, the rise of the automobile and the construction of interstate highways meant that trains, and the isolated outposts built to support them, were suddenly bypassed. Imagine the slow, creeping agony of a town watching its purpose evaporate. The train schedule changed, the daily stop was canceled, and the economic blood supply of the community was cut off overnight. Today, if you walk along those abandoned rail beds, the tracks are rusted red and half swallowed by shifting desert dunes. The water towers stand like rusted giants against the sky, completely dry and leaking memories from every rivet. The wooden depot buildings, once filled with the clatter of telegraph keys and the excited chatter of travelers, are now rotting hulks where rattlesnakes seek shelter from the burning sun. It is a haunting transformation. You can almost still hear the phantom echo of a train whistle blowing in the distance, a sound that promises connection to a world that has long since moved on. As we explore these forgotten railroad graveyards, we are forced to confront a harsh reality. In the march of human innovation, yesterday's vital necessity is tomorrow's total abandonment. Some ghost towns didn't just fade away quietly, they earned their reputations through pure, unadulterated lawlessness and blood. In Act 5, we travel deep into the high-altitude wastelands of Eastern California to explore Bodie, perhaps the most perfectly preserved and feared ghost town in American history. At its peak in the late 1870s, Bodie was a booming mining camp with a population of nearly 10,000 people. But it was also known as the most violent, vicious place in the entire West. Imagine a town boasting over 60 saloons lining its dusty main street, where gunfights broke out daily, opium dens operated openly, and street brawls ended in Boot Hill before the sun even set. It was a place where danger lurked behind every saloon door, and where fortune came at an extraordinarily high human cost. The town of Bodie is wrapped in a chilling local legend that persists to this day: the curse of the stolen stones. According to park rangers and local folklore, Anyone who visits Bodie and dares to pocket a small piece of glass, a rusted nail, or a fragment of pottery as a souvenir will face a lifetime of terrible luck, illness, and misfortune. Every single year, the Park Service receives dozens of packages in the mail from terrified tourists who experienced sudden tragedies after their visit, begging the rangers to return the stolen artifacts back to where they belong. Picture the eerie reality of walking down Bodie's untouched streets today. Houses still completely furnished with beds, tables, and rotting dishware left behind, as if the occupants simply stepped out for a moment and never returned. What makes Bodie so profoundly haunting is that it is maintained in a state of arrested decay. The state of California refuses to rebuild or restore it. Instead, they let nature take its course while keeping human hands off the buildings. Imagine peering through the dusty, grease-stained windows of an old general store, where shelves are still lined with rusted cans of goods, old boots, and vintage medicine bottles from the 19th century. The schoolhouse still has its desks neatly arranged, with textbooks open to lessons that were never finished. As the cold mountain wind sweeps through the abandoned wooden corridors, Bodie stands as an ultimate testament to human transience. The gold is gone, the outlaws are dead, and the town belongs entirely to the ghost of its past. Not all ghost towns are hidden away in the dry, scorching dust of the desert. Some of the most fascinating abandoned settlements in America were intentionally drowned, only to reappear decades later like ghosts rising from the deep. In Act 6, we explore the eerie history of St. Thomas, Nevada, a prosperous town founded by early pioneers in the 1860s. For decades, it was a thriving agricultural community filled with lush farms, schools, and families who believed they had built a permanent sanctuary. But in the 1930s, the construction of the massive Hoover Dam changed everything. The government needed to create a colossal reservoir to control the Colorado River, and St. Thomas happened to sit directly in the path of the rising water. Residents were given a heartbreaking ultimatum: pack up your lives, sell your land for pennies, and watch your hometown get swallowed by the abyss. Imagine the final days of St. Thomas as the water slowly crept up the doorsteps and covered the muddy streets. Families packed their wagons, loaded their furniture, and watched as their homes disappeared beneath the murky surface. The last resident reportedly rowed his boat right down Main Street as the water reached the rooftops. For over half a century, the entire town remained buried deep beneath the surface of Lake Mead, locked away in a watery tomb, forgotten by almost everyone except the old-timers who once lived there. It was a complete ghost town, preserved in a strange aquatic silence, where fish swam through the windows of old schoolhouses and barn doors, rusted away in the dark. But nature, as it often does, revealed a shocking twist. In recent years, severe droughts and climate shifts caused the water levels of Lake Mead to drop to historic lows. And as the water receded, something incredible and haunting happened. St. Thomas rose from the dead. The brick foundations, rusted wagon wheels, cracked concrete sidewalks, and stone chimneys began to break the surface once again, exposing a ghost town that many thought was gone forever. Walking through the ruins of St. Thomas today is like stepping into a dream. The mud-caked artifacts, old bottles, and structural outlines stand as a poignant reminder of what humanity traded for progress. The water took the town, but the desert refused to let it stay forgotten. Not all ghost towns are born from gold mines or railroads. Some are monuments to corporate hubris and failed industrial empires. In Act 7, we venture far beyond the American borders into the dense, suffocating canopy of the Amazon rainforest in Brazil to explore Fordlandia. In the late 1920s, Henry Ford, the legendary automobile tycoon, faced a massive crisis. The British held a tight monopoly on rubber, which Ford desperately needed to manufacture tires for his millions of automobiles. Refusing to pay high market prices, Ford decided to bypass the system entirely. He struck a deal with the Brazilian government for a massive tract of jungle land, equal in size to a small state, with a singular audacious goal: to build an American industrial utopia right in the middle of the wild jungle. Imagine flying over the wild Amazon basin in 1928 and suddenly seeing a bizarre, surreal vision. Straight rows of white picket fence houses, modern electricity grids, a sprawling hospital, a spotless ice cream parlor, and a massive water tower bearing the Ford logo. Ford tried to impose Midwestern American lifestyle, culture, and strict rules upon the local Brazilian workers. He banned alcohol, prohibited gambling, forced workers to wear company badges, and even tried to make them eat American-style canned foods and square dancings. But Ford knew cars, not botany. He planted his rubber trees too close together, ignoring the natural predators of the jungle. Soon, a devastating leaf blight swept through the plantations, destroying millions of trees. To make matters worse, the local workers rebelled against the suffocating cultural rules, sparking a violent riot that forced American managers to flee into the jungle for their lives. Ford's Grand Amazonian experiment was a total, multi-million-dollar disaster. By the mid-1945s, synthetic rubber had been invented, rendering natural rubber largely obsolete, and the Ford Motor Company quietly abandoned the settlement, selling it back to the Brazilian government at a massive financial loss. Today, Fordlandia is a haunting, overgrown ghost town, swallowed entirely by the aggressive green arms of the rainforest. The rusted machinery of old processing plants sits half buried in mud. Colonial-style houses are consumed by thick vines, and the hospital where doctors once treated tropical diseases now echoes with the calls of exotic birds. It stands as a chilling reminder of what happens when human ambition tries to conquer nature without respecting its laws. The jungle always wins in the end. Some ghost towns were not abandoned because of financial ruin, fire, or exhausted resources. They were evacuated under the terrifying shadow of nuclear science. In Act 8, we travel to the desolate expanses of the American West during the mid-20th century, an era dominated by the Cold War and the frantic race for atomic power. Towns popped up overnight near uranium mines and testing sites, fueled by patriotism, high-paying government jobs, and the promise of a futuristic energy revolution. Picture small, close-knit communities where families lived completely unaware of the invisible, silent danger accumulating in the dust, in the water, and in the very air they breathed every single day. They thought they were building the future of America, but they were actually living on borrowed time. The catastrophe didn't arrive with a dramatic explosion or a raging fire. It came silently, revealed only through rising illness rates, mysterious livestock deaths, and grim government reports. When the radioactive contamination finally crossed safe thresholds, the government didn't just step in to clean up. They wiped entire towns off the map. Imagine the chilling urgency of the evacuation orders. Families told they had hours to pack whatever they could fit into a single suitcase, leaving behind family photos, half-eaten meals on dining tables, and children's toys scattered across the floors. Homes, schools, and local businesses were locked down permanently, fenced off with barbed wire and stark warning signs featuring the dreaded trefoil radiation symbol. The the government declared these areas permanent exclusion zones, uninhabitable for thousands of years. As our journey through these abandoned landscapes draws to a close, a deeper question remains. Why are we so utterly fascinated by ghost towns? Why do millions of people spend hours watching documentaries, looking at photographs, or even risking their lives to explore places where life has completely vanished? The psychology behind our obsession with ruins runs deep. When we walk through a ghost town, we are confronting our own mortality on a grand scale. Every crumbling wall, every rusted vehicle, and every empty doorway serves as a mirror reflecting the temporary nature of human existence. We spend our entire lives building careers, accumulating wealth, and constructing monuments to our own importance, yet these silent towns whisper a humbling truth. Everything we build is merely a temporary lease on a landscape that belongs entirely to time. There is a delicate balance between preserving history and allowing nature to reclaim its territory. In some places, like Bodie, human hands fight tooth and nail against the elements, stabilizing wood and stopping roofs from collapsing, trying desperately to freeze a single moment in the 1800s, like an insect trapped in amber. In other places like Centralia or Fordlandia, the elements are left unchecked, and nature aggressively takes back what was stolen from it. Vines shatter concrete, trees punch through living room floors, and rust consumes steel until it turns back into ordinary earth. This relentless cycle of decay is not a tragedy, it is a transformation. It shows us that nature is the ultimate artist, taking our rigid, manufactured dreams and slowly melting them back into the organic rhythm of the planet. As our long journey through the shadows of America's forgotten past comes to an end, the sun begins to set over the sprawling, empty horizons of the West. The long shadows stretch across cracked asphalt, rusted machinery, and weathered wooden porches. Think about the sheer scale of what we have witnessed across these past 10 acts, from the roaring gold rushes of California and the subterranean infernos of Pennsylvania, to the drowned streets of Lake Mead and the swallowed jungles of the Amazon. Each of these ghost towns tells a universal story about human ambition, fragility, and resilience. They remind us that civilization is not a permanent fixture etched in stone, but a delicate, fleeting moment caught between the forces of nature and the passage of time. Look at our modern cities today. With their towering skyscrapers, glowing neon lights, bustling stock markets, and sprawling digital networks. We walk through our concrete jungles with the exact same absolute confidence that the residents of Bodie or Centralia felt over a century ago. We believe our world is too big, too advanced, too permanent to ever fall silent. But these ghost towns stand as silent, unyielding sentinels warning us of our own hubris. They teach us that progress can stall overnight, resources can vanish, and the earth can reclaim its territory when we least expect it. Every gleaming metropolis of today is just one economic shift, one environmental disaster, or one forgotten century away from becoming the ghost town of tomorrow. When you turn off your screen and step back into the noise of your everyday life, remember the silence we explored today. Remember the empty streets, the rusted tracks, the smokestacks of forgotten empires, and the people whose dreams were buried in the dust. They are no longer just historical data points. They are the ghost ancestors of our modern world. And as the wind howls through those abandoned windows tonight, singing its eternal song across the empty desert and the overgrown forests, it leaves us with one final haunting question. When our own chapter of history is closed, what kind of silence will we leave behind? Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows of history.